of our Vampire 5th edition game. Unfortunately, another one of our players has had to step away from the game, but we're going to push on with Seth Morgan and Adrian Resnick, aka the Ripper. So we're going to move the timeline on to explain the change of a few things that have happened. We're going to move the timeline on by 3 weeks. Obviously, the club, the Astro Club, where the coterie used to meet in Barking and Dagenham, was owned by MC Supernova, who is no longer going to be taking part in the game. So we're moving the timeline on just to explain that a little bit. So to bring you guys up to date, we obviously had the little sort of mini side trek with you guys last time. Now, a couple of days have passed since our last session. You've not heard anything from MC Supernova at all. There's been no real contact with him. However, as you awake, and I'm not going to bother making you make a roll for this, guys, but as you wake up, Seth, you see like your phone sort of beeping to signal that it's got a little icon saying that you've got a voicemail message.
All right. So probably engage with that then.
Okay.
After probably after checking for ghosts, because apparently that's now a thing. So checking for like disturbance before actually doing the thing.
Okay, you've not seen any manifestations since the event of last session. However, you do notice on the sort of concrete floor of your sort of basement apartment, where you saw the spirit of the woman sort of sink down into the floor. When you go to that sort of particular area of your room, the air feels noticeably colder over that area, but you've not yet seen any further actual manifestations. But there's definitely like a noticeable chill when you go over to that part of the room. Not enough to cause any damage or anything like that, but enough so it's noticeable.
Yeah, it's a draft that shouldn't be there.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, obviously it doesn't even cause you any vague discomfort because you're a vampire, like cold. But you expect if you were human, it'd be raising sort of goose pimples on the back of your arms. It'd be causing like the hairs to stand up on your arms. But other than that, nothing particularly untoward has happened in the sort of spectral theatre.
So, again, chopsticks, punching the voicemail up.
Okay, you punch
or calling the service or however this thing works for my old ass phone.
Yeah, no problems. You dial into like your voicemail box, like using your chopsticks. You sort of hold the phone near to your ear so you can hear it, and it's a very garbled message. There's like a lot of like static on the line, and the signal keeps sort of almost dropping out and then coming back. You can just about make out the voice of MC Supernova, but like you're only catching sort of odd words. It's like one of those like where you hear a few words and you think you can. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we have you make the first roll of the session?
Is this a game? Do you think this is a game, John?
Yeah. Let's see you shake some of them D10s. See what you can actually work out from this message. So I would say perhaps a wits awareness roll. I'm open to anything else if you think it's more applicable.
Yeah, that sounds great. If I'm trying to pick out some sounds.
Yeah, you're trying to sort of strain your hearing to hear through the static to try and pick up the words and sort of put them together in something that like makes sense as a sentence.
Yep, that sounds good. So let's see me eat this phone in a rage.
We laugh because it's true.
Not quite, but yeah.
Okay, so it's very difficult. You have to listen to the voicemail like another couple of times just to try and like get it, and you've probably like got a little piece of paper where you're like writing down like, oh, did he say this, did he say that, trying to piece it together. You think Supernova's saying something about a park, you're not sure what park it is. You definitely heard the word park though. You hear he mentions the name Blake, by which you presume maybe he's talking about the Tremere that you met previously, who he sort of chatted to at the end of your kindred meeting. Then the most disturbing thing is the voicemail ends in what sounds like a scream, and then there is an incredibly loud, like high-pitched screeching noise at the end of it, and then the voicemail just cuts off.
And this is a far-fetched thing, I guess, given the poor quality of the voicemail, but does the scream and the screech, do they seem to be from different people?
They do. The scream, like you have to listen to it a couple of times, but the scream definitely sounds like MC Supernova. It sounds like he started saying something, and then he sort of let out this scream. Whereas the screech, it almost sounds like, if you've ever heard those like those recordings of like eagles or like birds of prey when they let out that like sort of screech. It sounds like that, and it's a bit more high pitched and very loud, and then the voicemail just cuts off.
Yeah. All right. I'll probably put it on a couple more times and go stand in the opposite end of my murder basement, just to make sure that it's not me that's messing up the sound. And I presume it isn't.
No, it's definitely not. But judging by the quality of it, obviously London has pretty much like quite good mobile phone reception, as you'd expect, being like the capital city. Even in like the parklands and the sort of greenbelt land in London, like you can get a phone reception. So you expect, I mean, occasionally when you go past a big building, maybe that interferes with it a little bit. But the level of static and interference, it definitely seems like something's interfering with the phone signal, and it's not you. Yep. Probably something at the other end when the call was made.
All right. I will get a meeting set up with Adrian following this.
Okay, obviously you guys have got your sort of text sort of communication worked out with all your codes and your emojis and stuff like that. Where do you guys organise to meet?
I think Barking Central.
Yeah.
Like just in front of like the shopping mall or something.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. You can arrange. So, Adrian, you get an emoji-laden text off Seth saying that he wants to meet you out in front of the main shopping centre in the centre of the borough.
All right. I get ready and head over there.
Okay, not a problem. So, before you guys meet up, is there anything in particular you guys want to do?
Maybe not at the moment, no. For Seth, at least.
Adrian?
Yeah, you mean like on like no, not.
Okay, in which case, Adrian, I'm actually, can you make me an intelligence roll, and it's going to be intelligence plus your fame.
Okay. Sorry, it's just been...
No, it's fine. Roll20 has been quite slow recently because of loads more people getting online.
Yeah. Well, people have a lot more time these days for some reason.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, is something going on? In Denmark?
Nice.
References. To cover up sadness.
So I'm assuming it won't let you roll your fame, but obviously you can add your fame as bonus dice.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Cool.
It's just taking ages to load.
Yeah, no problems, mate.
Is it shown up as a role?
No.
No. Oh, that is bunk.
Give it another try, see if it...
Okay. Slowly. The suspense is killing me. John hacked roll 20 just to build up the suspense.
So you got to find a way to build the suspense any way you can, man. GM's got to do what a GM's got to do. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so 3 successes.
Okay.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
I'm gonna refresh the page.
Yeah, no problems. Okay, so as you're obviously you've been doing other stuff since the previous adventure. You've got your text message of Seth asking to meet up with him. As someone who's like quite famous and quite sort of prominent in the area, as we've seen previously with your legions of adoring fans, obviously you tend to sort of like you keep your finger on the pulse of like well-known people and stuff like that because you move in those circles. As you're sort of doing this, you've heard a few rumours, just like on the sort of, I suppose, showbiz grapevine, if you will. You've heard a few rumours that apparently, unbeknownst to you guys, because MC Supernova certainly didn't mention it to you, apparently he'd been approached by a well-known rock star who had desires on buying his club. You've not got any more details at the moment. These are just like rumours you've heard because you move in sort of like famous circles, basically.
Yeah. So vague. I've heard a rock star tried to buy the Astro Club.
Yeah, and you've heard like the rock star apparently offered like quite a significant amount of money for it. You don't know the exact figures, but apparently it was like quite a lot over the asking price if it was for sale.
Okay.
But as I say, you can't really ask Supernova about it because you've not heard anything from him for a couple of days. If any of you have tried to get in touch with him, you've got that whole like straight to voicemail because like the phone's obviously not turned on or whatever.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so the two of you meet up outside the main sort of central shopping complex in Barking. Obviously, it's pretty much 24 hours, so there are people coming and going, but it's less busy than it would be during the day.
And
it's well lit because obviously shoppers. There's like gaudy, like neon signs and advertising displays, shop window dummies, fluorescent lights, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and definitely standing out of line of sight of the cameras, because that's a thing. So we've met up. I will have given Adrian the brief on this voicemail that I got. So the fact that, it seems like Supernova. He mentions a park, maybe, and maybe that's where he is. And then there's a scream, and then there's another noise, which is not human.
Mm-hmm.
Do you play the noise for Adrian or?
Adrian, do you have earphones?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll hand him the phone to do the thing.
Okay, so you listen to the voicemail, you hear, as has been described, thanks to Seth sort of it's very difficult to make out. But thanks to Seth sort of telling you what he's been able to find out, you're like, oh yeah, I can hear the word for pork. I hear him mention the word Blake, and then Supernova starts to say something. Then he suddenly just lets out this like quite sort of fearful, like bone-chilling scream, and that's followed by this loud sort of almost predatory screeching noise, and then the voice mode cuts off.
Did I hear the part about Blake?
Yeah. It's quite difficult to hear, but because obviously Seth's told you what he's got from it, you're like, oh yeah, I think that must have been when he said Blake, yeah.
Okay. So this doesn't bode well. So park like the one that Blake, Finn, and the other Adrian are fighting over.
Maybe. Hard to tell, and there's a lot of parks, but that's one of the parks that we know about.
Do we think maybe Supernova went to check up on Amanda?
Could be.
And something happened?
Could be. I don't know about Blake though. Like what? Why? How does that tie in? Of course, we're missing a lot of info.
Maybe they wanted that territory much more than we thought.
That might be. Should we go check it out? Well, I'm not. Let me start over. We should go check it out, because if Supernova got bagged or worse, we will need to be dealing with that.
Right. Why don't we go and meet up with Amanda? Try to keep things casual. It's not arouse suspicion. Like we're just checking up on her.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, don't let on that we know something has happened. That seems good.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Do we need anything before we do?
I'm all good. You?
Let me just go buy a bottle of water.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll go do that, John.
That is not a problem. You can easily get a bottle of water.
Yep.
Absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're ridiculously overcharged for a bottle of water because
of course
it's bottled water.
It's practically murder.
Indeed. It's like you sort of buy a bottle of it and you're like, oh, and they call us monsters.
It's like, and I'm the blood-sucking monster.
Yeah. but you've got the funds. Sort of social commentary aside, yeah. Mm-hmm. You buy a bottle of water. Mountain spring water.
Yep, I'll get that, and then we're off to the park, the great outdoors.
Okay, not a problem. So you're heading to the Lays, which is the country park sandwich between Old Dagenham and Park, where Finn is, and Beam Parkland, where Blake Lowe and Adrian Lowe make their havens. So that's not a problem. You make your way there. It's a small strip of green belt land. There's a few trees there. Nothing particularly vastly interesting about it. It's just like a small strip of green belt land. It's got fences around it, but there's like an open sort of like gateway. No one bothers locking it because there's not a lot there, to be perfectly honest. So you arrive at the site.
Yeah. Would we have any way to contact Amanda?
Okay, you didn't specify any particular way of like contacting her when you sent her there. However, you guys did set her up there, so would you have set up any way of like, oh, if we need to get in touch with you in future, this is what we're going to do? If so, what would it have been?
If she keeps a cell phone, then yeah. Um,
Okay, obviously she's not got any of her personal possessions from her previous life because she was
Yeah.
advised not to go back to thing. However, if you guys wanted to have like bought her like just a cheap cell phone, that's easily enough done.
yeah.
Okay, so you guys have bought Amanda a mobile phone. Yeah, she's got that. You've got the number.
Yeah. I'd send her like a string of emojis, which essentially mean where you at.
Okay, you get a message back that says just says East Side Park.
Show it to Seth and then gesture in that direction and head over.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, no problems. You head over to the east side of the park, and there's what looks to be like it was maybe previously part of like an old children's playground or something similar. You know, there's like a rusty children's slide. There's like a few swings. Again, quite badly in need of repair. The chains are rusty, paint's flaking off the sort of structure of it. And as you head over, you can see Amanda Knight just sort of sat there like on one of these swings, sort of like perched on the edge of one of the seats. She's obviously like looking down at her phone, just like putting it away in her coat. She's wearing like a fairly nondescript sort of overcoat. Maybe it looks like a sort of like military surplus, like sort of khaki style green coat. And she, as she sees you approaching in the distance, she sort of like holds up a hand to like wave to you, and you approach.
Yeah, I wave back.
As you walk up, she's like, "Oh, hi, what's up?"
Yeah, we were just coming to check up on you. How's the park life treating you?
She says, "Oh, well, I'm not going to lie. It is a bit weird. I mean, I've lived in like the city all my life, but at least here, because there's like so few people about, I'm not having to worry about hurting anybody. So that's a good thing." And then she says, "Oh, the she sort of like has a bit of a look around to make sure no one's listening. There's no one about, so there isn't." He's like, "Oh, and the kindred to in the park to the south of here, Chadwell, no, not Chadwell, Beam Parkland. Yeah, they've been pretty friendly. I've had a visit from them."
Yeah, that's Blake and Adrian. Yeah, Blake and Adrian.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, probably like a day or two after you guys had set me here, they came over. They didn't stay long. They just said, "Oh, if I needed anything, if I needed any like advice or help or anything," because obviously they know I'm not used to living in a park. But they said, well, they've been doing it for a fair old while, and if I did need any help or advice, just to give them a shout.
Right.
But I've not really needed them since, so I've not been over there. But they said I was welcome if I needed to like go onto their territory to get in touch with them. They told me I was fine to do that.
Did you speak with Finn at all?
No, I've not seen Finn, to be honest. That's the woman with the leathers, yeah, from the meeting.
Yeah.
No, I've not seen her at all. Sorry.
Okay. What about Supernova? Have you seen him recently?
I've not seen him, but when I spoke to Blake, she mentioned that because I said obviously like they asked me how I was getting on, and I was saying I was grateful to you guys for like helping me out and setting me up here, and she mentioned that Supernova had been in touch with her and he was going to pay her a visit at some point, but I didn't get any details. I mean, I thought it's none of my business.
Yeah. Okay.
She said something about they'd had like a chat or something at the end of the meeting, and apparently they're clan mates or whatever, and he wanted to like chat about that a bit. But like I said, I don't know the details. I mean, it's all still a bit fresh for me.
I look at Seth.
Sorry, where was this again? I was distracted by the birds.
Well, I was just saying to Adrian that I'd had a visit from Amanda and Adrian. Sorry, Blake and Adrian, and they just said they didn't stay long. They just said, "Oh, if I needed any advice or any help, just to give them a call." And I was happy to go into I was fine to go into their territory. And Blake mentioned that because I said I was grateful to you guys, and Blake mentioned that apparently Supernova had been in touch with her, said he wanted to talk to her about sort of clan business, I suppose. But like I say, it's all still a bit bewildering to me, to be honest. I mean, I don't really know any other members of my own clan, so I didn't want to pry, to be perfectly honest.
Okay.
All right. Well, anything you need out here?
No, I think I'm doing pretty okay at the minute. I mean, I'm like you said, I'm trying to keep a bit of a low profile. I mean, I get there's a few like joggers and whatnot, a few vagrants and such like that sleep in the park, and I've she looks around like a little bit sort of paranoidly.
Yeah, let's keep it on the down low.
She says, I've fed a couple of times, and that's been okay. I've been really careful, like you showed me, not to like hurt anyone, and everything seems okay at the minute, and I'm just trying to keep a bit of a low profile.
And do you have a safe place to stay?
Yeah, there's an old I think it used to be like a scout hut or something like that. It's got like I wouldn't even call it a cellar, but it's got like a sort of cellar area that obviously was used for storage, and I've been sort of sleeping in there, like barricading the door and stuff like that, and that's been doing me okay so far. I might look for something else at some point, but it'll do for now. And it's not been used for ages, and it's I'm on the QT. I bought like a chain and a padlock which I've put round the door, which I thought I was not going to raise any suspicion, because if it's disused, why wouldn't it be locked? But also it'll stop anyone having a look in there while I'm sleeping in the cellar during the day. So
yeah, resourceful.
oh, thank you. Is there anything else I can help you guys with?
That I can think of, but like Seth says, feel free to get in touch if you need anything.
Oh, yeah. I will do. And again, like I say, well, thanks again for looking after me and like giving me a place. Like I say, at least here I've not got to worry about hurting anyone.
Yeah, it's none of us were volunteers for this. I hope, at least. So, got to look after each other. That's the game now. Okay, well, you keep doing the good work out here. Remember to eat.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And let us know if you need anything, and we'll be by later.
Oh, again, thanks. I really appreciate you guys checking up on me. That's the only downside of this place. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for it, but Obviously, it's a bit out of the way. Not many people come here, so it is a bit on the lonely side here, to be honest. But
Yeah, that is. I think that probably doesn't go away anymore. Doesn't matter how many people you have around here. All right. Well, you keep your head up high, and we'll get through this, I guess, whatever that might mean. Okay, good. Yeah. Adrian, you can probably go.
Yeah. Alright, do you think we need to talk to Blake?
Yeah. Yeah, probably. So next stop?
okay, so you're planning to head to Beam Parkland, which is sort of south of here, which is the domain of Blake and Adrian Lowe. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, so you head south to Beam Parkland. There's a small strip of like sort of road and path between the Lays and Beam Parkland. As you start heading into it, it's a fairly large sort of park, about 130 odd acres. You can see the signs of like it having flood defences built into it. There's a meadow and a bit of woodland and a small sort of river running down by one edge. This is obviously a lot more used than the Lays. There's like a sort of play area here, which is more well maintained. There's a lot of footpaths making their way through there. The park in general looks far more well tended. What do you do?
I look around and I kind of wonder to myself why she even wanted the Lays.
So it's a valid query.
Alright, so how do we find her?
Well, I used to do this for a living, so let's put some of that to work. So, John, I would like to try and find a location such as a kindred would occupy in this area.
Okay, so I think that's probably going to be a wits investigation roll in the current circumstances.
Yeah, we'll get on that. Yeah, that's 3 successes.
Okay. So you search around Beam Parkland for a while, and the only real sort of large structure you can locate in it is there's like a visitors centre / sort of rangers sort of complex where obviously like the tools to maintain the parkland are stashed. You can see the sort of information boards outside, maps showing the layout of Beam Parkland. The footpaths are all marked. It shows the flood defences in the river. There's different areas sectioned off, the meadow, the play area, stuff like that. That seems to only be the main structure.
So probably worth looking in there. I just are at the ranger station.
Alright.
Do we want to just roll up like it was casual, or what do you think? I'm thinking specifically of the screams there.
I think, yeah, we probably should do something like that, but pretend it's all business as usual.
Mm-hmm.
Can you think of a plausible reason why we would be visiting Blake?
Tracking down drug dealers that have been causing problems around Barking and Dagon. We had a lead, and we're chasing that down. So far, we haven't found anything.
Okay.
I'll let you do the talking on that one since it sounds more your thing. I'll just smile and nod.
Okay, so as you guys are approaching the visitor centre in Beam Parkland, you sort of approaching round the front of it, you can see a short distance in front of the visitor centre, sort of lying down on the grass, is the extremely large dog that you saw previously with Adrian Lowe, and it's just sort of like sat down, well, lay down on the grass, sort of licking its coat and cleaning itself.
It doesn't look threatening.
No, it sort of like looks up and gives like a, as you approach, it like huffs a little bit, but it doesn't like leap to attack you or anything like that. It's just sort of like lying there. It sort of looks over at you and then goes back to cleaning its coat.
All right.
Yeah. Just walk up to the door.
Yeah, no problem. You walk up to the door. It's a fairly standard sort of wooden door, painted green. It's a wood-based building with large windows on one side of it. So peering through the windows, you can see inside. There's numerous sort of information boards on the wall and sort of rotors, presumably for like the park staff and stuff like that. There's a few sort of those like plastic school-style chairs in like a circle in the middle of the floor. There's a couple of little tables. Nothing particularly untoward that you can see. You can see there's like a couple of other doors. There's obviously more than one room to this building.
Yeah. Is the door open?
The door appears to be locked.
I'm gonna knock on it.
Okay, you knock on the door. After a few moments, nothing has happened. No one's appeared to respond to your knock.
I mean, obviously he's here because of the dog. So, do you think we go around or?
I try knocking again.
Okay, you knock again. You wait for a couple of minutes. Again, no one responds to your knock.
I'll take out my like Leatherman tools and whatnot. Like I can get by the lock. That's not a problem. But
Okay, what am I? Yeah, let's. Give me a moment, and I just, walk around the building to see if I can see any sign of like movement inside.
Okay, you walk around the building. Obviously, the other rooms don't have like the large windows. There's a couple of little windows. One of them you peer into appears to be like a public toilet, basically a public lavatory, presumably for the staff and whatever. One of them appears to look into a small storeroom, but you don't see anything untoward. But you've not been able to see into all the rooms of this building.
Okay. Yeah, didn't see any evidence either way that they were around here. Yeah, maybe we should open it.
sorry, I did not hear that fully. I think the connection hiccuped there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I didn't see any evidence that they were in there, but I didn't disconfirm it. So it's,
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the dog because he seemed very fond of it, so probably wouldn't leave it here for no reason.
Yeah.
As you're saying this, you notice that a patch of earth just to the right of where the dog is lying has begun to sort of bulge upwards.
Oh, here we go. Luckily, this isn't where our other friend is, because otherwise... Yeah, I'll just look at the patch.
Okay. As you watch over the course of the next minute or so, the earth appears to peel back almost like the skin of an orange being pulled off the fruit. And as it does so, the tall, muscular, dreadlocked figure of Adrian Lowe rises up vertically out of the soil, his sort of arms crossed over his chest, his eyes shut, his face a fairly sort of blank mask of expressionlessness. He rises up out of the soil, which seems to like close back over the sort of disturbance that he's made. And once he's fully risen out and he's standing on the ground, he opens his eyes, shakes his head a little bit. A bit of soil and dirt falls off his blonde dreadlocks, and he like brushes a bit of soil off his fairly raggedy clothes. He looks down at the dog, and then he notices the two of you. And you see sort of he looks a bit curious and sort of takes half a step back, and he's like, "Oh,
hello. I'll put the Leatherman back on the belt.
what are you two doing here?"
We were looking to have a chat. We're hounding down some info. I didn't want to disturb the place, so we've been waiting around here, knocking at the door, thinking you might be here because of your companion over there.
Yes, I leave Dog there as a guardian. Hold on a second, and he pats around his clothes, then like digs in his pocket. He takes out what appears to be a fairly sort of grimy, dirt encrusted key from his pocket, walks over to the door, puts the key in the door, opens the door, heads in. He like gestures for you to follow him in. And as he walks in, he's like, "Blake, we've got visitors." At which point you hear like a muffled voice coming from behind one of the doors, and the door opens and you see Blake, who's obviously been awake for far longer than her grandfather, so walks out wearing fairly sort of stylish clothes. Again, she has blonde dreadlocks similar to her grandfather. She sort of walks in, sort of halfway through saying like, "Oh, who is it?" And then she sees you two, and she's like, "Oh, good evening."
Hi.
And she looks a bit puzzled and sort of a bit taken aback, scratches her cheek, and then says, "Well, I assume if you've come into our territory, there's a reason for it. Why don't we all just sit down and have a discussion, see what's going on?" Adrian's like, "Do you need me for this, Blake?" She's like, "No, I'm." And then she sort of like looks questioningly at the two of you and says, I'm sure everything's fine."
Yeah, I'll shake my head and take one of those really nice plastic chairs.
She nods and says, "No, that's fine, grandfather. You do what you need to do." And he's like, "Well, I won't be too far away. If you do need me, just shout." And he walks out, and you hear him go like, "Reh!" And the dog falls in beside him, and they start walking off into the parkland. Blake again sits down on one of these plastic chairs, and she's like, "Okay, you two, what's the deal?"
Well, the thing is, we, as you probably know, us having turf around a club and whatnot, there's a fair bit of the unsavory that takes place
Oh yeah.
in the immediate vicinity. So, Supernova's been looking into that. And, John, I would like to gauge her reaction when I say Supernova. Like,
Okay.
is there a...
Yeah, make me a... I'd say again perception awareness. If you've got an alternative you want to suggest, obviously you can do.
Yeah, because they did away with perception, so...
Sorry,
wits.
wits. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Wits, and I would say I have the same number in them, but we have a skill called Insight, which is the social kind of perception thing. So Insight, wits, here we go, 4 successes.
Okay, she doesn't react in any sort of astounding way when you say MC Supernova's name. She's like, she nods and she actually says, "Oh yes, yeah, I saw your friend a few days ago now, I suppose."
Around these here parts, right?
Yes, yes. I don't know if you remember when you organised your meeting of the landlords. She sort of like laughs. She says landlords. So she thinks the term's a little bit ridiculous, but she's like the landlords. He spoke to me at the end of it. I'm not sure if he's told you, but we're of the same clan. Clan Tremere.
I think there was maybe a mention of it. I found that to be interesting, to say the least.
Well, I don't know how up on kindred history are, but you may or not be aware that Clan Tremere has a certain facility with what some people regard as the mystic arts, and she does like the air quotes. Now, obviously, like any clan, some of us study that quite heavily and focus on that, like I myself have done. Others choose to walk different paths, as MC Supernova does. And he was interested in finding out a little bit more about the mystic side of our clan's learning, and obviously there's not many of us about now to actually teach that. So he asked if he could come here, have a chat to me about that, and maybe work out some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement, which I was open for. Like I said, there's not many of our clan around now, so it was nice to find another Tremere about, and I enjoyed having a chat with him. We had a chat. He went on his way. He said he was going to come back and visit me again, but I've not seen anything of him since.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, I don't think have you spotted any let's say substance abuse or sellers thereof around these here parts?
There's a few. I mean, Parklands like this. There's always like a few teenagers about, and a bit of minor drug dealing goes on. Nothing major. I mean, I can't say I'm really interested in that aspect of the place. It's not really apropos for my studies, to be honest. And obviously that my studies were what I was talking to your friend about.
So was he getting on? Because we haven't had the chat yet with him. So did you set up
when you do see him, tell him whenever he needs to pop over and carry on a discussion. I mean, he's welcome to.
Right. So it's a whole book club deal now, and I'll smirk.
she laughs and says, "Well, I don't know about that. Look, I'm fine to talk about it. I mean, perhaps back in the bygone days, I mean, I know my clan was sort of famous for secrecy and all that, but to be honest, like, as far as I'm aware, there's only 2 Tremere in this area, myself and Supernova, so who's going to tell me off it?" Look, so I don't mean to sound insulting, I'm just trying to think about how I can sort of explain this. Have you guys heard of ley lines?
Nope.
Okay. Well, let me explain. Essentially, you're aware that to use most of our abilities as kindred, we call on the power of the blood that we take, right? Well, my clan, in their sort of mystical arts, we found a way to pull on energy from the world at large rather than just from the blood, but that energy is harnessed through the blood and it produces effects that are deemed mystical. Now, there are places in this world where this energy, this natural force, is stronger, and it makes it easier for us to work our will, so to speak. Now, long ago, mortals and philosophers and stuff like that, before all this science sort of stuff took over, mortals classified these lines of force as what they called ley lines, and they sort of crisscross this city and the globe. Now, if you have the right sort of knowledge, you can tap into the energies there and use it to produce effects. Now, if you find an area where these lines cross, like they do here in Beam Parkland, it becomes even easier for you to perform those actions. So I've been steadily trying to sort of work out where some of these areas are, and I mentioned it in an offhand way while I was talking to Supernova, because he wanted to know a bit more about the mystical, and he expressed an interest in it, and I was telling him about that. The one I've been looking to recently, although I've only cursorily looked into it because it's a little bit outside the borough, is in the don't know if you know it, the Raynham Nature Reserve. It's just outside of the borough on the eastern side. If my research is correct, it used to be an old like army shooting range or something, but I think it's like a bird sanctuary now or something. And I've done a few little bits and pieces that lead me to believe there's a particularly strong flow of this energy in that area. So I'm potentially in the future interested in going and investigating this, but because it's outside the borough, I don't know if it's anyone's territory or anything like that. I'm moving very slowly at the minute. Because, I don't want to be stepping on anyone's toes. I don't want to get into any trouble. I think a bit of caution's merited. So all the information I've got at the minute is from secondary sources and various arts that are only available to my clan, which was like, I don't think I should really go into. But I've not made any direct move to sort of investigate it directly yet. But maybe some point in the future, it's just one of many potential irons I've got in the fire. But yeah, we chatted a bit about that. He seemed quite interested, and like I say, he wants to open himself up a little bit more to the mystical side of the learning that our clan favours, and I'm all for it, to be honest. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the more friendly clan members we've got who can look after themselves, the better. I mean, you guys said it when you arranged your meeting. I mean, if stuff gets out of hand and we can't resolve stuff peacefully, it's going to be bad for all of us. So I figured, well, why not help him educate himself a little bit? And then, a rising tide raises all boats, so they say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that is, I'm liking what I'm hearing, and I do appreciate that somehow in all of this, you've actually managed to find a way to further mystify what's going on with us. I'll give a slight smile to her.
She's like, well, I'm sorry if I've not been helpful, but I mean that's what we talked about.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't mean it like that. It's just, I tossed my fair share of polyhedrals when I was a kid, and
she sort of looks at you like, sort of like, what?
The board games with you have the.
I look at you confused.
Okay, never mind. It's just a little bit further, for me personally, a little bit further in the field. This.
Oh,
what
right.
We're talking about.
Okay, right. I see. Well, yeah. I've given you like the very basic, trimmed down version here, and that's pretty much what I gave to Supernova, because I've spent a number of years studying this, and it's not an instinctive thing like we use blood to activate our abilities. It's something you have to learn. It can be quite complex, quite in depth, and it can be dangerous if you're unaware. And I caution. That's why I wanted to meet up with Supernova again. And like I say, tell him he's free to visit our territory when he wants to resume a discussion. I cautioned him not to try working his will without having another person present who was more experienced, because this sort of thing can be very dangerous to the unwary or to the people who don't really know about it. So I asked him, once he digested what we talked about, to come back here, and maybe I could tutor him in the first faltering steps along that path. But as I say, it's really too dangerous for someone to just pick up.
Yeah. Well, on his behalf, because he hasn't gotten back to you yet, I would like to thank you, because you're helping him and by extension us. So I appreciate it.
Oh, that's fine. As I've said, it was a surprise for me upon the finish of your first meeting to find that there was another clan member here. I mean, we were never particularly numerous as a clan even before the purge, and even less so now. So I'm pretty pleased that to have another clanmate about, albeit one who hasn't focused on the arts that were traditionally the purview of our clan. But as I've said, everyone walks their own path. Everyone has their own way of approaching things. I'm sure eventually, given a lot of study, with a lot of time and a lot of patience, he'll be able to embrace the same arts that I have studied. But it will take a lot of time and a lot of effort and work on his behalf. Like anything, you don't get anything for free in this life, do you? And she smiles.
No. And whatever you did, it's not going to be the case anymore, I don't think.
I'm sorry? She looks a little bit concerned.
Yeah, never mind all that. All right, so yeah, no notable drug dealers, so we'll get out of your hair. We'll let you get on with your family over here.
It's fine. She says, at which point she reaches inside her pocket and she takes out a mobile phone, and she presses a couple of buttons, and then she turns it around to show you guys, and you can see it's got a number on the screen, and she says, if you do need to get in touch again, there's my number.
Do you want to take that down, Adrian?
I added it to my phone.
Yeah, no problem.
Good. Thanks. Yeah, that'll make it easier, and we.
She says, no problems. And apologies, I didn't answer the door earlier. But like I say, we do get some kids around the park. Some of them like knock on the door and like mess about here. And genuinely, just to be on the safe side, obviously I'm not in one of the rooms that's got a window. I just ignore people knocking at the door. So, but yeah, if you do need to talk to me again, you've got my number. Just give me a call. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm in the territory most evenings, and if I'm not, Adrian's normally here.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for the chat, and we'll be in contact.
Oh, not a problem.
I'll see you and yours at the meeting.
Indeed.
Good.
Right.
Yeah. I'll exit.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
problem.
I'll follow.
Yeah, you head out of the visitor centre. You can't see Adrian or his dog. They've sort of wandered off somewhere. You hear the door being locked behind you, and then as you glance back through the windows, you see Blake get up off the chair, walk to one of these doors into another room, open it, and disappear through the door.
Would it be feasible, John, to make a roll to ascertain whether or not she was entirely truthful in what she has told us about Adrian? Supernova?
Yeah, I think again you could probably make a wits insight roll.
Yeah. Just to be on the safe side. That's 3 successes?
Yeah, she seemed to be being fairly honest about it. You got the feeling that she was maybe not telling you everything about the mystical arts of her clan,
no. Yeah.
But she pretty much told you that she wasn't going to tell you anything about that. But the stuff she did tell you, she seemed to be quite sincere about.
Yeah. So, Adrian, this is what I'm thinking. Supernova came over here, talked to her, went to find whatever this is at the reserve, and got bagged there or something. Because if she's really intent on this place being important, and she obviously impressed that on Supernova. And
Okay.
they're probably not the only two who think it's a really nice place. For whatever reason that might be, there's probably more people who think that way.
Okay.
And maybe he ran into one of them over there.
So, what should we do now?
I was thinking maybe we take a picnic at the reserve, or whatever it is now, the bird sanctuary.
Okay.
If you're feeling up to it, I have no idea what is going to be there.
Yeah.
The sound on the recording, I don't really know how to interpret that.
I'll give you a bit of information on the Raynham Nature Reserve, because obviously you've got access to the internet. There's publicly available information about it. Finding that out's not even a thing. It's a Royal Society for the Protection of Birds, RSPB Nature Reserve, east of London. It's in the borough of Havering, which is adjacent to Barking and Dagenham. It used to belong to the Ministry of Defence, who used it as like a test firing range, but that was like years and years ago. The nature reserve was open to the public in 2006. Much of the landscape is unchanged since like medieval times, according to the internet, and it's pretty much a wetland / marsh that's been like deliberately preserved because there's a lot of birds that find that useful as habitat.
Okay. It's interesting. Not sure how this helps us though.
You also find out that apparently it's how one of the sort of like major things that Raynham Marshes Nature Reserve puts itself up as is this. It's home to one of the most environmentally friendly visitor centres. I mean, it's got like solar panels, rainwater harvesting, natural light ventilation, ground heat exchange. Apparently, it cost about £2 million to make. It's won like awards for its architecture and pushing that whole sort of sustainable energy thing.
Okay.
It's fancy place. There's a lot of money
Yeah.
going around, and for nature, there's got to be some instance or charity or fund behind this, because that's a lot of expensive gear to put on a bird sanctuary. So
Yeah. Interesting.
but yeah, I guess given that Supernova is actually off the radar, and we know that he was here, because I think she told us what actually happened here, and she was talking to him, convincing him about the special nature of this nature reserve, which, fine, I guess. I think he probably went there, because it's not going to be this park, because it's those two who would have jumped him, and for what reason? They don't have any reason to do that.
Okay. Yeah. I think you might be right. Why don't we go take a look at this sanctuary?
Yeah. Probably needs to be on our guard though, so much more so than here, because these are a known quantity and we don't know anything at all about what's on there. So probably take a more cautious approach.
Alright.
All right, so John, I think we're going to the sanctuary then.
Okay, no problems. So it'll take you a little while, because obviously you've got to travel across your current borough, and you will be entering the borough of Havering, which you don't know a great deal about, to be honest, like kindred-wise, basically.
Yeah.
So what sort of approach are you guys taking? Are you just going to like balls out, just like stroll across the borough?
No, it's going to be a special ops, crouch running in the bushes.
I understand. Ghost Recon style, I understand.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you both please make me a Dex stealth roll?
John, I will invoke the Shadow Cloak.
That's fine.
So
You,
stealth.
you pull the shadows around you.
I wrap myself in darkness.
Indeed.
And that gives me a +2, which gives me 7 successes.
Okay, yeah, you are literally like a ghost. That there is no chance of anyone seeing you. And
Yes, unless it's an actual ghost.
yeah. And
I'm just kind of sneaky.
yeah, and to be honest, Adrian, you don't do too bad yourself. You make it. You don't have to go very far into Havering Borough to get to the reserve. You can pretty much just sort of follow the Thames River, and it's right on the edge of it near the Thames estuary. As you arrive there, as was described in the sort of publicly available information, it's a large area of marshland. There's sort of pools and little streams and stuff like that. Most of the vegetation is fairly sort of low-lying, like bushes. There's a few little trees here and there, but with your guys' sort of like vision, you can see for absolutely miles because most of the land is quite flat. Although as you're sort of walking through the area, there's like a from underfoot because it's like wet, marshy, sort of boggy land. So as you actually get onto something like your speed of travel like slows down a bit because you're having to like squelch through this mud, and obviously none of you are particularly like decked out for sort of wading through a marsh. But nothing particular impedes your progress. You're making your way through. Can you both make me a wits awareness roll?
All right. Not very witty.
Okay, so you're concentrating more, Adrian, on not like slipping and falling over in this horrible wet ass marshland. You're having to, because you're quite heavy and muscly, you're like sinking down a little further. So you're having to really like lift your feet up and like as you're moving through. Whereas Seth, as you're sort of moving through, as you're like passing, like I say, there's a fair scattering of trees and stuff like that. You notice as you're sort of passing through that pretty much every tree you walk past appears to have an owl in it.
Okay.
Are they just hanging around? Are they sleeping? Are they watching us?
But they appear to be perched on the branches. You do notice a few of them sort of turn their heads as you pass, whether they're watching you or whether it's just a case of like Adrian's making like a fair amount of squelching as he's walking,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, what's that? However, as you continue to move, at one point, Seth, you sort of like meet the gaze of one of these owls as it's sort of looking down at you, and you feel a slight chill, vaguely reminiscent of the slight chill you feel whenever you call on your abyss-tainted powers.
Oblivion.
Indeed, you recognise the faint sort of chill of oblivion.
Just from having eye contact with the owl.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna stop. And I'm gonna whisper in the general direction of the owl. I'm just gonna whisper like, I know what you are.
Okay, as you do that, both yourself and Adrian hear a whispered voice that seems to sound within your own skull. And the whispered voice says, "And what is that?"
Okay. That's kind of spooky.
I'm gonna whisper again to the owl, or towards the owl. A creature of darkness such as I
the whisper comes back and says, "We are kin, you and I."
So I'm gonna stand up, do away with the pretense of stealth, and I'll just like stride towards, I guess, our goal,
Okay.
the sanctuary itself, and I suppose ultimately the building, really. 31 damage.
No, no.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to ask, can both yourself and Adrian, can you please make me a resolve roll?
Oh boy.
Boy. Oh, just straight up resolve? That's not a lot of dice.
Yep.
That's one success.
Okay, so what I'm going to ask at this point is, what is Seth and Adrian's, what is your heart's desire at this present point in time? And I don't mean things like, oh, we've got to find super. I mean, like, literally, like, if you can have anything at this point, what would it be?
I need to think about that for a moment.
Well, I'll tell you what, I need to nip for a bathroom break. So,
Okay.
so why don't we have a short break for 5 minutes? You guys can think about that.
Yep.
Then we'll come back and we'll carry on.
Absolutely grand.
Okay, back in 5 minutes, guys.
Yep.
Yeah. How specific do you want the desire to be?
It's entirely down to you. It's basically just what your character wants most. So, I
Okay.
mean, it could be something as simple as you're like, oh, I want to become an even more famous MMA fighter. It's entirely down to you. It's basically your character's heart's desire. Whatever that is down to you.
Okay. Um. Yeah, I'm probably gonna go with like Adrian wants to be more skilled at fighting to the point where he, can like is a force to be reckoned with in the vampire world.
Okay. That's absolutely fine. So wait for Johannes to get back and then we'll carry on.
to look around for a moment for that piece of paper I have with all the other kindred names on it. But I keep forgetting it's not in the NPC lists.
Yeah, I'm planning to update the notes this weekend, so
Yeah.
we'll have it all there. I've just
Oh,
not
no.
time recently.
Yeah, that no like rush or big deal or anything, but yeah.
Well, what
Just
my plan is the spreadsheet I've sort of made available as the relationship diagram on.
yeah, yeah,
I'm going to add like an extra tab to that, which will have like NPCs on and sort of like a brief description and stuff like that.
yeah. Then it.
Righto.
Okay, so I've got Adrian Resnick's heart's desire, which is to become a more skilled fighter and a force to be reckoned with in the kindred world.
Okay. And this is we're talking the ultimate,
Yeah,
sort of the
it's your heart's desire.
yeah. I think ultimately, and this is probably not at all the way that Seth understands it internally. He would probably word it quite differently, but I think it's probably Prince of London
Okay.
in the Kindred context.
Okay, not a problem. So, are we all ready to carry on?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, splendid. So, as you're about to pass by this owl sitting in its tree, as you sort of both move forward, there is a blinding flash. And in the next moment, Seth, you find yourself sat in what appears to be a very plush sort of boardroom, like business-like table, laptops, comfortable chairs, the lot. You're sort of decked out in very stylish, sort of formal wear, basically whatever you deem appropriate for sort of like formal business wear.
Yep.
To your right, and obviously you're seeing this as well, Adrian, to your right is stood Adrian as he's dressed in sort of like ripped sort of shirt, showing his muscles. You've probably got like a big knife on your belt, Adrian. Maybe a couple of like wooden stakes on like a sort of bandolier across your chest. You sort of stood there as your sort of vision comes in. You're stood there with like your arms folded at the right hand of Seth, who sat down in this almost like throne-like plush chair. There's a lot of fairly pale-looking people sat around like some sort of large gathering, some of whom you recognise as kindred you've met previously, so in your meetings, others you're not familiar with at all. At which point one of the kindred there says, "So look, what are we going to do about Clan Torridor impinging on the Ventru territory?" Now I understand that we owe them some boons and some favours, but clearly their breach of the tradition of the Camarilla cannot be overlooked. Now, Clan Ventru do not wish to cause an upset in this case, but it's clear that we are the wronged party, says this man in like a charcoal grey business suit. A beautiful looking young woman stands up and says, "Clan Torridor have done nothing to breach the traditions. We have acted with all propriety, and I would think that our willingness to come here to this Elysium is proof of our good intentions. The fact that Clan Ventru see our patronage of certain businesses within their domain as a threat is surely a misunderstanding. We're not posing any threats. We're simply investing in various artistic ventures that we happen to act as patrons of. There has been no challenge to the law of domain here." At which point all eyes in the room turn towards the head of the table, which is where Seth is sat and Adrian is stood behind him. You see Finn, who you recognise, but she looks like she's a bit more sort of decked out and obviously like ready for a fight. There's like a number of people who stood with her. She says, well, why don't we just let the sheriff sort all of this out, and we'll see what's what. And she looks directly at you, Adrian.
Yeah, I kind of like look like just like I don't really acknowledge her, and I'm like trying to like just like project like a image of like power against the room, and maybe I'm using presence or something in this like if this is like real or whatever, but like yeah, I kind of like look to no, I continue to just kind of like have this like sort of like powerful presence in the room, with like the intention that set expecting Seth to sort of step in and like say, oh no, that won't be necessary, because he kind of maybe wants the idea of a bloodthirsty sheriff that he needs to like rein
in. Yeah. Okay, so I think so we're talking about like a particular piece of land here, which they're sort of squabbling over.
Yeah, the crux of the argument appears to be that the Clan Ventru have a domain, and Clan Toreador have heavily invested in certain businesses, certain artistic like museums, etc., that are within the Ventru domain. Clan Toreador are like, we're just investing in businesses, we like art. There's no challenge to domain, and Clan Ventru are like, these businesses are in our domain. This is a clear challenge to our domain, and it needs to be like sorted out.
Yep. Yeah, I think because it's going to be in London, right?
Yeah, you sort of glance behind and sort of out of the windows of this office, which appears to be like a large sort of high-rise building, sort of glass-fronted, sort of tower style, and you can see the London skyline. So yeah, you appear to be in London.
Yep. I think I'll motion for. I imagine there's probably an aide of some kind stood somewhere near the door or something. I'll motion for them to come over.
Yeah, a young, you presume, kindred or perhaps ghoul, you're not sure.
Yeah.
A young man walks over and he sort of leans down next to you, putting his ear near to you.
Yeah, and I'll whisper to him, just like, just nod, whisper some nonsense back to me, and nod gravely. Hand me your phone. I'll look at it, and I'll hand it back to you. Then go back to the door.
Yes, of course. As you wish, my prince. Then he nods gravely, hands you like quite a futuristic-looking like mobile phone. Nods gravely again, and he walks away.
Yeah, and I'll look at it for a bit and swipe it as if I'm reading a thing on it, and because he walked away already, so I'll just put it in my pocket, and I'll rise up and sort of step half into the path of my bloodthirsty maniac of a sheriff.
You're lucky this prince is holding me back, man.
Yeah.
Are you actually saying that?
No. That's the vibe I'm trying to give off.
You notice as you're doing that, and you're very much projecting this aura of like barely restrained violence. You notice that Finn, who stood over like a similarly garbed like group of, you presume, Bruges, sort of just gives you like a bit of an up nod.
Say, unfortunately, I'll nod to everyone around the table at least. Unfortunately, good friends, it appears that through malign luck, as fortune would have it, we are struck by, yet again, an unfortunate incident caused, no doubt, by the misappropriated funds that are currently missing from the budget to maintain infrastructure in this district and in others. But
Everyone
in this
nods.
case, it has, apparently, I have just been told, because I had my man over there keep an eye on it, there have been several structural problems to do with, and I'm not an engineer, but I am told there has been a leak or a burst container of some sort, and business in that district will be slowed down drastically due to the containment of chemicals being currently leaked into the environment. Now, we have a handle on that thanks to my good man over there by the door.
Your retainer gives like a nod.
We will be closing down the district to
There's a bit of sort of like
to contain this so that it doesn't get to the city proper, and we'll deal with it more efficiently than they will, and we will do it quicker. However, for the foreseeable future, because I will need to contain this so that our business can go forwards, everyone hands off the steering wheel in this district. I'll take care of this. We will revisit this matter after it is contained and without the involvement of the city, because that will tie this thing up. We do not want this. None of you don't want it. You don't want it. I'll point to the representatives of the clans.
There's a bit of sort of discussion as they turn around to like discuss that with their clan. Then as the group appears to part, what looks to be a half melted, almost skeletal like corpse, wearing sort of ragged, stained robes and a tattered hood, sort of limps its way forwards, and this grotesque creature gives like an exaggerated bow in front of the table, and then in a sort of strangulated voice says, "And might I ask, what is the current situation involving the Anarch Amanda Knight? Has she been brought to justice yet?"
Do I have context for this in this instance, or is this just the first time I've...
It's the first you know of it. I mean, you're under no doubt from what you said that this person you're talking to is a Nosferatu, and presumably one of station, since he's directly addressing the prince.
Yeah.
And obviously you know Amanda Knight, but you don't have a fill-in for the intervening time.
Yeah. We have our best people on it, is all I can say at the moment. I hope perhaps you and your esteemed colleagues would be able to lend assistance in this matter.
We will, of course, offer what assistance we can to the prince. And allow me to once again make it clear that Miss Knight does not speak for Clan Nosferatu. And he sort of bows again and suddenly starts retreating from the table.
Yeah, I'll nod.
And as he does, again there is a flash, and the two of you are stood back in the wetlands in London, attired as you were previously, sort of like just walking past the tree. The owl on the tree is still like rotating its head to look in your direction.
I'll look to Adrian. I'll raise both of my eyebrows and I'll say, "Did you see that?"
I am drunk. I felt like I was somewhere else.
A different time,
Yeah.
it seemed like.
You again hear the rasping voice in both of your heads say, "Shadows you have seen."
that mean?
Shadows of what may be.
Let's keep going, Adrian.
Okay.
If Supernova has been enticed with whatever passes for grandiose plans for him, I don't know what that might be. I believe the kids would call it the sick drop, something to that effect. Do not know. Perhaps he's pursuing this. Let's go see.
All right. So,
Yeah.
Okay, so
Stride on.
Okay, so as you continue moving on through the wetlands, are you looking for anything in particular? What are you doing?
There was supposed to be this facility here.
Indeed.
So primarily heading for that while looking for anything that might stand out. Now, if it's just wetland with the features being, oh, there's a tree here and another tree here, and then there's multiple trees over here, then never mind all that and just head towards the this high-tech facility that's supposedly here.
Yeah, you head towards the high-tech facility, and as you do, you can see there appears to be almost like a flock of these owls, like perched around the ledge of the roof of this building. You can see the solar panels, all the sort of renewable energy stuff. It's all like latest tech, like you say, very expensive. There's a little plaque outside the front of it saying that it's been awarded a BREEAM Sustainable Design Award 6 times, like a little celebratory plaque sort of thing on a little plinth, comes up to about knee height.
So that seems impressive. I'll point at the plinth.
There's large windows like covering like the side of the building, and as you approach, you can see that Supernova appears to be sat behind a table inside the building. And as you're sort of approaching, he doesn't seem to have spotted you yet. As you're approaching, you see he appears to be eating what looks to be like a bucket of fried chicken that's sat on the table, and he's just sat there like. Occasionally, there's like one of those little sort of tin rubbish bins on the floor, and occasionally he like
tosses,
flicks the chicken bone into it and like grabs another piece of chicken. He's like,
Are you seeing this, Adrian?
yep.
Is he eating food?
he certainly appears to be.
I think so.
At this point, Seth, can you please make me a wits occult roll?
Yeah. Occult and wits. That is 2.
Okay, as you sort of look at Supernova, you feel this chill that you recognise as like an echo of the abyss, and to your eyes only, there appears to be a sort of like tendrils of black mist sort of flowing around the contours of Supernova's body as he sat there. And again, to your eyes only, his eyes appear to be entirely black as he sat there. To your eyes, Adrian, he looks perfectly normal. Apart from the fact he's eating chicken.
Yeah, I mean that is.
Yeah, he looks fine to me. Normal.
There's something more here, which. Did you hear a voice earlier talking to seemingly you?
Yeah. Wait, yeah.
Yeah, there's something here, and I don't think it's. Well, I don't know what it is. I don't. That rubbish we heard back in the visitor center, I don't think that they have a clue about what's going on in here. But he's being puppeted by something.
How do you know?
I can see it. There's There's things that I sometimes see.
Okay.
Because we're all touched in our ways, I guess, is how that goes. What she was trying to tell us as well. I think this might
Okay.
be the kind that I don't know what it is, but there's whatever this is, it has him, and it's making him, I suppose, into a sock puppet.
Okay, what do we do about this?
It's insane, but I'm gonna go talk to this facility.
The facility?
Or whatever it is here, the whatever's doing this, I'm gonna go talk to the air, I guess, the night air. I'm gonna talk to the night air and the owls, right, Adrian? That's where we are now. And I
Okay.
wish there's one night when we're not doing this shit in the fucking swamp, talking to birds. Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel ya. I wish I was somewhere else. But let's.
Okay. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna give it a go. Don't fucking mention this to anyone.
Okay.
Talking to fucking birds in the swamp. I mutter to myself as I walk forward a bit, and I'll address the Senate of owls.
Yeah, no problem. As you start speaking, all the owls, like in unison, turn their heads to look down at you.
I see you, and I see my compatriot inside. What are you doing?
Explain.
My comrade is sat inside eating a bucket of chicken, which should not be happening. That is the problem here. Are you making him do it? Did he wish for a bucket of chicken? Did he ask you for a bucket of chicken? Is the restaurant open inside?
Everything in this place is ours.
What are you?
You should recognize us. Are we not kin after all?
John, how far into the building is Supernova?
Not too far.
So if I go, I presume like this is in my mind's eye. There's a whole large pane of glass serving as a wall,
Yeah.
to provide the view of the area and that kind of thing. So, because it's a restaurant area or presumably some sort of sitting area, so people would be there to look outside and whatnot. So I'll go up to the glass wall and I will conjure an arm of Ahriman. So I'll stand there still in front of the window for a little bit, and I'll make my browse roll soon. But
Yep.
I'll extend this shadow from my feet to towards Supernova, because if it's not too far away, because I can do it for some meters. So I'll try and grab first the table. I presume the bucket of chicken is on a table.
Yep.
I'll pull the table away from him with the arm, and I'll make the rouse roll now.
Yep. Go for it.
Okay, here we go. Ba-doop. Oh, that's a 10. So I don't become hungrier. However, I believe I'm accruing stains because I'm dabbling with forces I shouldn't. I will check that though,
Yeah,
because
that's fine.
Oblivion is the only discipline currently that erodes your humanity when you use it,
Yeah,
because it's
for obvious reasons.
death, is actual death. So I'll look that up, but I'll try and basically get the chicken away from him to see what happens.
Okay, as you start doing that, you see Supernova looks down and he reaches out a hand, and his hand's sort of like hovering over where the shadow area is, and you feel a strange sort of tugging sensation, as though something's trying to like pull the shadow away from you.
Okay, in that instance, I wanna. Is there? Can I see another shadow which is trying to get onto my arm of Armon?
You don't see another shadow trying to grapple with your armed Araman. However, as he holds his hand out, you notice that your tentacle of shadow that you've summoned appears to be being like drawn slowly towards his hand.
I'll. Okay, so in this version of Vampire, Arm of Armon 2D, because it's a literal shadow. So, presuming if he's holding out his hand like this, there is a shadow from his hand.
Yeah, and your arm of Iron Man's moving towards the shadow cast by his hand.
Yeah, so I'll just put it there, and I'll try and grab that with the arm, which is something I can do with the arm.
Okay, yeah. So make a. This is going to be an opposed roll.
Yeah.
So what sort of roll would you normally use to?
For this, I believe the manipulation is wits and oblivion for me to do stuff with the arm.
Okay, so make your roll.
And then.
And I'll have him make a roll. We'll see who gets the most successes.
Yeah, and for the opposing individual, I'll just read the thing out here because. As the shadow tendrils constrict and assault victims via magical means, it takes an act of will to escape them. So, for example, a constricted victim may roll resolve and composure as opposed to strength or whatever, because it's for me it's oblivion, and for them it's mental because it's magic.
Yep. Okay, so I will tell you in this circumstance, he's not. He's doing something else. He's not trying to resist the shadow.
Yeah, I presume something's going on in here.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll do that roll. Let's see. Right. Let's see. I'm fiddling with the sheet. Oh, here we go. Yeah. I set it up already. So, if I'm correct, this should be the. This should be the proper thing. Yeah, it rolled the two successes.
Okay.
Oh shit.
So as your two-dimensional tendril of darkness moves towards the shadow of his hand, your arm of Araman is actually absorbed into the shadow of his hand, and you momentarily feel this sort of, that feeling when you think you're falling and like you sort of like pitch forward. You momentarily feel like that, but it's sort of like deep down within you, rather than like you feel like you're physically falling. It feels spiritual, like something's been pulled away from you. It's not doing you any actual harm, but for a few moments you feel diminished as this shadowy tendril you've extruded is absorbed into the shadow of MC Supernova.
Okay, so it absorbs my thing and it dissolves, I guess.
At which point MC Supernova stands up, and obviously he's still got the black eyes and the shadow mist around him to your view. So he turns around and sort of looks at you and smiles a little bit. Adrian, so you've seen Seth extrude this two-dimensional shadow of darkness, and somehow Supernova has like absorbed it, and like Seth goes like quite pale, like even more pale than normal, and sort of like probably sort of leans forward a bit, looks like momentarily weakened as this happens. What are you doing while this is going on, Adrian?
Oh, sorry.
It's all good.
So I'm seeing like this, like I absorb Seth's shadows, and
Yep.
um,
And Seth
I'm
certainly
taking
doesn't
this
look
as
like he's enjoying it very much.
yeah, I'm taking this as not a good sign, and like Adrian's like kind of got this mathematical rubric that's going on in his brain, and the conclusion that he's reached is I'm going to punch this guy in the face.
I understand.
I like this math.
Okay, so obviously you guys are outside. All that's separating you from the room that Supernova is in is like this sort of large, like plexiglass style window that covers the front of the building. Obviously, for you, like going through that glass, psh, it's not even a thing.
Alright.
Wouldn't even slow you down.
Alright, yeah, I crash into it Batman style and like
Yeah, you literally just sort of like charge through the glass as like a as the window explodes around you. You probably take a few minor cuts from the glass, not enough to actually do you any real damage.
yeah. That is. Do you want me to make a roll?
Yeah, if you're punching in, make a dex brawl roll or a strength brawl roll if you prefer.
Oh man, browser. I don't know if it's roll 20 on my browser, but yeah. I don't want to make a charisma brawl roll.
That'd be an interesting situation.
Yeah, that's wrestling.
Yeah.
Dang. Okay, yeah, so you can deliver quite a mighty, meaty punch to Supernova.
7 successes.
Yeah. With that, it literally like drives him backwards. He like staggers back into the wall behind him.
Yeah.
As he falls
Just
backwards,
running.
Seth, you see the mist flow with him.
I like turn to Seth and I'm like, what's going on?
Whatever is here, it's claimed supernova.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't think you can punch this one out.
As you're saying this, you see Supernova rising up and he's sort of like rubbing his jaw where you've like cut the side of his face where you've like punched him. But you notice he has like a big smile on his face. He's like,
Huh. So like, he's not feeling pain.
weirdly, it's not that he's not feeling pain, it's the fact that he seems to be enjoying it.
Okay.
You notice that as he sort of touches like the sort of bruised area, like say he gets like a big grin on his face as though he's like enjoying the sensation.
Oh boy. Yeah, I'm going to. Yeah, I'm going to strike him again.
Yeah, make another roll.
Unless he does.
No, he's not doing anything. He's just stood there like rubbing his face and smiling.
Okay. A cunning strategy.
Yeah, punch until victory is a is a thing.
Yeah. Adrian's sort of hoping that it's just sort of like bravado or something. That it's putting on a show of not being hurt.
Mm-hmm. He's not making any effort to dodge. He's literally just stood there, like directly in front of you, still with his smile on his face.
It's not coming up with another roll. I'm gonna refresh the page again.
No problems.
Man, that's. Oh, roll 20. Never change.
Oh, you.
What you like?
You little rascal.
Okay, well, for the sake of expediency, I'm just going to assume
Yeah.
that you've delivered, because you're fairly stacked for combat. I'm going to assume you've delivered like a fairly substantial blow
Okay.
to the artist formerly known as MC Supernova. So yeah, so you smack him again, and as you do this, he's literally like knocked down to the ground. Now you're pretty sure that like the couple of blows you've just done, which have been like immensely powerful, would be quite inconvenient even for a kindred, because obviously you're pretty strong. And he actually sort of like falls to his knees, and then he goes, and he just sort of like rubs the side of his neck and his face, and he's like, interesting.
Are they just go? Yeah. Can I try to like, gauge what the hell's going on here? Like, what are they getting out of this?
Yeah, you can make me a wits insight roll.
Okay. What's inside? Okay. Working.
Okay, so you're not entirely sure what's going on here, but like I say, Supernova seems to be genuinely like enjoying or like savouring the physical sensation of you punching him, to the point where like when you first punched him, he didn't even try and dodge, try and flinch or anything like that, or get out of the way, which would be the normal response, or fight back. He genuinely seemed to be sort of like almost sort of like waiting for you to hit him again.
Okay. So he's on his knees right now.
Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna.
As you're sort of like approaching him, he sort of holds up his hand like this, and as you watch Seth, you can see the sort of mist that's spiraling around his arm, sort of concentrating in that area. And as you watch, it begins to like solidify, and as it does, you begin to see it sort of like around his fingertips, and what appear to be like large black talons of solidified mist extend from his fingers.
Mm-hmm.
He's got like this like large, like black, almost like shadow claw overlaid on his hand.
Now, John.
He's looking at it like,
Yeah. Is there any further shadow mist or presence aside from Supernova?
not that you can see at the moment, no.
And is the mist coming from or around him, or coming from him, or is it from the ground where he's standing on? Or
It seems to be like part of him, and it's just sort of like spiraling around him.
yeah. It's inside, yeah.
At which point, in a very calm voice, Supernova says, "My turn." And with like ridiculous speed, he lashes out with the claws in your direction, Adrian. Just sort of like suddenly goes like towards you with this shadow claw.
Am I able to? I'm gonna assume that it's not gonna be superficial damage. So
That's
yeah.
correct.
All right. So should I roll to that defend?
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I think for our first sort of major combat, I'm going to refresh myself on how combat works. Handily, I've got it bookmarked.
Yay.
Indeed. Okay, strength brawl. Okay, so you can roll Dex Athletics to dodge if you wish, Adrian.
All right.
Alternatively, if you want to fight back, you can also do that, and we do double duty with one sort of roll off, where like the creature is trying to attack you. If you, instead of dodging, you just go in with your fighting stuff, you can also do that, and then whichever one wins does the thing.
All right. Okay.
Or if you tie, then you both do your thing, and I guess
Yeah.
I'll have to refresh that, but yeah.
Okay. I might opt for that.
Yeah, so
they
basically,
say
in case, the way it says in the book, in cases when both combatants are attacking each other, they both roll once, and the combatant who receives the most successes damages the other.
Yeah. So that's 7 with Ambrose.
Okay. Okay, so you have 1, so you can inflict like a couple of levels of damage on him. So as he sort of goes like that with his claw, obviously you sort of dodge and deliver a punch back to him. Describe how that goes down.
Yeah. So like I get down like, because despite their speed, they telegraph this quite a bit by saying my turn.
Yeah,
And
he didn't really seem to be bothered about the fact that he wasn't being secretive about it. He was just like, ha,
Yeah.
ha, ha.
And anime style, I just waited for him to transform without doing anything. But I'd get down low and I kind of do like a left hook to like where their liver would be. Not sure if that does particular damage to a kindred. In fact, I'm pretty sure it doesn't. But still.
Yep, you punch him, and as you do, he falls back to the ground. He's still conscious. His eyes are still open. And in a very calm voice, the claws fading away like mist on his hand, he says, I believe that will be enough. And then Seth, as you watch, you see the black mist that was around him seems to flow out of him, leaving the body, and it takes on a shape of vaguely approximate to an owl, and then the mist flows out of the door. You can see Supernova's like lying on the floor like.
I'm gonna follow the mist.
Okay.
I will check on Supernova.
Yeah, you head over to check him. The mist, you duck out the door, Seth. The mist flows out of the door, flows up to the roof where the rest of the owls are, and it shimmers and takes on the form of an owl perched on the roof. Adrian, you check Supernova. He appears non-responsive. Obviously, he doesn't have a pulse or anything. He's not breathing because he's a vampire.
Yeah,
He's just like lying there, sort of staring straight up at the ceiling.
do vampires turn to ash when they die?
Rapidly decompose to match their actual age,
Oh, okay.
whatever that might be.
So
And in fact,
Okay.
as you're thinking that, Adrian, the body of Supernova begins to collapse in on itself, as though it was decaying rapidly from the inside, skin and bone falling inwards. Sort of part sort of like speedily decomposing in front of your eyes, and it appears to be almost as though he's melting into a puddle of a dark, almost black liquid.
Yeah, I step back from it.
No problem. You step back, and I mean, this takes like mere moments. To Seth's still outside, and within a few moments, you're just stood there looking down at this like puddle of black goo. The goo itself then begins to sort of evaporate, and all you can see within it are like a few bones remaining.
Huh. Well, Adrian doesn't know what to do with that, so I'm going to turn and see what Steph went to do.
Okay, so Seth, you've been stood outside looking up at these owls on the roof, when Adrian, you come walking out to the front of the building. Seth stood there sort of looking up at the roof with all the owls on it.
And I'm gonna say to the owl, what is it that you want?
Everything in this place is ours.
All right. will stay away. I say sort of as if like feeling the ice with a 10-foot pole. The end.
The whispered voice of the owls that both yourself and Adrian can hear inside your skulls says, "You are weak, incomplete."
I'll just nod and start walking backwards away.
As you start walking away, sort of putting a bit of distance between yourselves, the voice does start to fade away, and the last thing you hear it say is, "There is too much of you that clings to the remembrance of light." And then as you're presumably with Adrian, you're both sort of backing away, the voice sort of fades away as though it's receding into the distance, and you still see like the owls sat there watching you from the top of this building.
So Supernova's gone?
Yeah. Also, what the fuck was that?
Well, they're not owls, for one.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that ghost?
Yeah.
I think this is something like that, but not.
Ghost owls?
I don't think it's owls or a person. I think it's something else. Maybe I'm gonna need to talk to our friend at the cemetery about this.
Yes, perhaps Sophia will know. Well, animating corpses. That's...
Yeah. Do we need to clean up Supernova?
Nothing remains but some bones, so I don't think it's necessary.
Okay. Well, fuck. That makes it hard to use the club.
Yeah.
Probably should stay away. Get whatever we need from there and stay away.
Yeah, I heard rumors someone was trying to buy it, but whatever.
Well, let's hope that it's not a conspiracy of owls trying to hedge into the real estate business around barking. Because I don't want this as a neighbor. Yeah, let's go. We should probably never come back here again.
Yep. Just make a note to never ever come back here again.
Yeah. And with that, I think we slosh back through the marshlands.
Yep, not a problem. You slosh your way back through the marshlands and soon find yourself within the comforting bounds of Barking in Dagenham, your home borough. Okay, so it's getting pretty late / early now. Before you guys retire for the morning, is there anything you want to do? You've maybe got like an hour or two before you have to seriously think about getting your heads down.
I guess maybe I got Blake's number, right? Contact information?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll send them a thing just to say that place is dangerous.
Okay. Not a problem. You get a message back probably the next evening. You'll get a message back from Blake, sort of asking if you can have a meeting to discuss it. Because obviously she's interested in, as like a bit of a scholar of the occult, she's obviously interested in knowing more, especially since she was interested in that place.
Yeah, I say sure, Seth and I might swing by at some point.
Okay. So Seth, is there anything you particularly want to do in your last couple of hours?
Eat. So I'm trying to score a corpse at the church mortuary.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't think I have
Okay,
anything else. Yeah.
so the two of you retire to your respective abodes and sleep away the day. The events of the night still impinging on your thoughts as you drift into the day sleep. And that is where we're going to end the session for this evening, guys. Thank you very much for playing. I hope you both enjoyed the session.
Yep. That was a fun romp.
Yeah.
Indeed. Obviously, I'm happy to chat for a bit, but I'm going to end the recording now. So, anyone who's watching this, thank you for watching this session. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll catch you next time. Take care.